early for Sussex County. It's about midday, right, Senator Wilson? But I'm delighted to be here with two-thirds of our congressional delegation, Senator Carper, Representative Rochester, our Lieutenant Governor, most of the elected officials here from the General Assembly. We're going to hear from Senator Pennyjohn and Representative Vander Wan. Where's Jesse? There he is. We also have Representative Bruce King, Representative Postles, and Senator Wilson, and Senator Richardson, who's sitting in the back. Todd Lawson, a partner representing Sussex County, a partner with the state in extending broadband access across Sussex County, joins us as well. I know Todd said that Mike Vincent wanted to be here with us. Again, they've been a strong partner. This is not a new thing. We've been working on this for some time prior to my tenure as governor, but it's really exciting this morning to announce our first major investment as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. And first, we need to thank our President Biden, our own Joe Biden. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to realize that, and our congressional delegation for their work, particularly over the last very difficult months over the last year and a half as we've tried to respond to COVID-19 in our state. And we remain focused on getting every Delawarean vaccinated so we can kind of operate in a more normal circumstance. And we're making good progress. We met the President's goal of getting all adult Delawareans vaccinated, or 70% by the 4th of July. The last mile, if you will, is a little bit more difficult, and we appreciate all the partners that we have here in Sussex County across our state and getting folks vaccinated so we can fully go back to kind of a more normal way of life. One of the things that we have learned over the last year and a half is something that we already knew, which is increasingly broadband internet access is important to our families, our students, our businesses, and that we have deserts, if you will, across our state, mostly here in Sussex County in western Sussex. Jason Clark is here as the Secretary of the Department of Technology and Information. I always want to say an innovation. It maybe should be an innovation. But he's going to talk more about the details of our efforts, the state's efforts over the last several years, and explain to you the maps that are here in front of us that really show geographically and graphically where those internet deserts are. Essentially, we are making this investment that is specifically identified in the ARPA legislation as eligible for an expenditure. And so it is being a very important commitment that we've already made as a state. We thought this was the best first investment to announce to the public. Claire DeMattias is also here. She has been designated as our point person to do the outreach, to manage the funds, to get all the state agencies together around to make sure that we spend these federal dollars efficiently, effectively, and that there's tremendous outreach that goes out to the public, to our elected officials and others. And we've been spending the last several weeks making presentations to members of the General Assembly, your leadership, to the mayors. We've had a conference call with the mayors, to the business groups across our state, to inform them of the limitations of the spending, what the targets are, and again, the two big ones are broadband access and water and wastewater facilities. Another one, which significantly benefits the lower part of our state and with which we already have allocated significant resources in this capital budget, $50 million to our water and wastewater efforts. And again, our partners there are the three counties, Sussex County in a big way, as well as the cities and towns. So that will be something we'll talk about later, but today we're going to talk about the investment in the broadband deserts that we have across our state and here in Sussex County. One of the things I think that's most important to me as I think about, I was in New York City yesterday meeting with site selectors, and these are folks that work with companies across the country determining where they're going to locate their businesses. And so it was a really good opportunity for me to go look back from the outside on what we have to offer here in our state and some of the areas where maybe we don't match up with some of the competitors that we have. And as I think of my job as governor and our job as elected officials, there's nothing more important than making sure that we are competitive for those business locational decisions and to enable our businesses here in our state to be successful. When you think about the ingredients of that, broadband connectivity is a critical part of it. We're delighted to have our partners with Comcast here, and you're going to hear from Kevin later about that. Even when we talked about our first investment, series of investments, we went to a R.C. Williams farm, which is not too far from here, kind of northwest of here and southwest of Seaford. And R.C. and his sons showed us how everything that they did on the farm required significant broadband connectivity. And so it's not just, it's importantly for us, it's about making sure our children get connected, particularly in an environment of remote learning. It's about enabling families to have entertainment brought to their home, but it's also a significantly important thing for family farmers and businesses across our states. Delighted to be here with all of you, with our partners in addressing these challenges. And now I'd like to introduce Jason Clark. He and his team have, the other JC, I think I heard Senator Carper say, he and his team have been doing just a tremendous job, again, working with members of the General Assembly, working with our local partners, Sussex County in particular, in addressing this issue. He's going to get into the details, talk about the maps here, talk a little bit about our efforts. One last thing I would like to say, and that is part of our investment here, so we're talking about an investment of $110 million. Part of it will be for hardwiring of these residences and communities. Another part of it is to make it affordable for students coming from households from lower income households so that they can do that, building on a program that we already have in place connecting Delaware students to their schools and other activities. And we have a strong partnership with the internet providers, with Comcast and others in achieving that objective. So Jason Clark is next to the podium.
Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you to everyone for being here today. This is an exciting time to be involved in technology. This announcement reflects an extraordinary opportunity for Delaware. I want to thank the Bridgeville Fire Hall for hosting us today, and a special thank you to Bonnie from the Ladies Auxiliary for helping us pull this together. We made a couple last-minute shifts worried about the weather, so thank you very much.
Are we having chicken and dumplings after this?
She gave the sign up. All right, so I'm particularly proud to be a part of the Department of Technology and Information. And the reason being is that we've been working on this expansion for well over a decade. And I think it's important that I take a moment first to say Governor Carney has made this a clear day one concept, affordability and accessibility being a top priority for the administration. And I want to thank him, our federal delegation, our state delegation, and for supporting these efforts to make this happen for Delawareans. Just a quick history of what we've done as we've gone through this process. Whether it was House Bill 96 in 2013 that funded a high-speed line running from Middletown to Georgetown, additional investment in 2015 going from Georgetown to Seaford and then across to Lewis. Those investments led to $30 million in private sector advancement and expansion, adding an additional 700 miles of fiber across blanketing our state. That brought broadband closer each and every time to the homes and to Delawareans across the state, but it wasn't enough. We continued in 2017 with a fixed wireless project aimed at overcoming the last mile. So one of our biggest challenges is on the map here. You'll see these dark blue areas where we have pockets or broadband deserts, as the governor referred to. These are areas where it's very difficult. We may have only a few homes on a stretch. The last mile is that completing the fiber connection to the home so that you can connect whether you're in a community of 500 or you're a house on your own on a farm that's 50 acres. Further investment in 2019 commercialized that wireless. And so what we did was we brought 15 towers across Sussex County and Kent County online to support over 1,500 customers. Those were all key components that drove us to this point today. The pandemic hit, as we still evidence today, wearing masks in the audience. Our homes became offices, they became classrooms, and whether you had broadband or not, whether you had a great signal or not, you needed more. And if you didn't have anything, well, I mean, it was no longer an option. Students had to learn. The CARES Act helped us address this. The CARES Act helped us address the student need, and thanks to the investments made by Governor Carney, DTI was able to coordinate with the Department of Education and our partners at CTC Technologies to establish Connect Delaware Students. It provided over 25,700 students with access, and those services were extended to not only students, educators throughout Delaware, providing the ability to continue with remote learning from the home. We also, during that time, coordinated with a diverse group of state legislators, county officials, technologists, internet service providers, the Farm Bureau, private sector and economic development leaders, along with K-12 and higher education representation. We worked towards developing a strategic plan to address broadband once and for all in the state of Delaware. We published that in May, and you can find that and all the details at broadband.delaware.gov. I want to thank everyone who partnered on that. Chris Cohen specifically, DTI's Chief of Policy and Communication, along with the DTI Project Manager, Kristen Skurler, for leading the initiative. And I think it's important that I reference all the team members who participated. Senator Brian Pettyjohn from District 19, Representative Krista Griffith from District 12, Representative Ruth Briggs King from District 37, Representative Jeff Spiegelman from District 11, Sussex County Administrator Todd Lawson, Sussex County's Director of Information Technology, Dwayne Kilgo, Newcastle County's Chief of Technology and Administration, Mike Honicki, Kent County Executive Director for Economic Partnerships, Linda Parkowski, Richard Wilkins from the Delaware Farm Bureau, the former Director of Information Technology at the Department of Education, Patches Hill, the Executive Director for Delaware Charter Schools, Kendall Messett, the Business Development and Energy Services Manager from Delaware Electric Cooperative, Kevin Yingling, the Director of Information Technology from Delmarva Power, Russ Ehrlich, the Director of Economic Research with the Delaware Prosperity Partnership, John Taylor, the Director of Network Services from the University of Delaware, Mark Cabry, and finally, Government Relations from Comcast, Sean Looney, and Government Relations from Verizon, Bonnie Metz. Our combined efforts identified over 11,600 residences and businesses that lack broadband, and they are represented in those blue areas on this map. One key output from the plan is that we have leveraged data that provides detailed information on the exact areas where investments need to be made. That is something that we did not have definitive detail on prior to going into 2020. And once we've created that, we now know exactly where we need to target, and we have developed a strategy that allows us to leverage our primary edge-out strategy where we are able to extend wired services to each and every one of these homes. The strategic plan provides the direction to close those gaps. And today, the $110 million allocation is the tremendous opportunity that stands before us to execute and achieve our goal. Our goal is being the first state to provide wired services and connections to every Delaware residence and business here in the state of Delaware. We will achieve this through a series of grants with program, application, and funding details that we'll release here in early October. And for us, this is going to be just one of many events where we have the opportunity to get out, to showcase our vendors who will be participating, and how we will make this a reality for Delaware. At this time, I'd like to turn it over. Oh. What else will we
I'm going to introduce
Okay,
Senator
sure.
Carper, TC, better known as TC. Round of applause for Jason and his team at DTI. I was remiss in not recognizing our state treasurer. Importantly, she and her office are responsible for managing the funds, which actually have been transferred from the U.S. Treasury to the state. We appreciate her being here and her work. You're going to hear now from two-thirds of our congressional delegation, and I want to personally thank them for their work on this initiative, for their work on CARES Act, which resources have been invaluable in our response to COVID-19 and accelerating out of it. Senator Tom Carper.
Thank you, Governor. I was privileged to be governor from 93 to 2001. Those were great years. We started in a recession and just upward and onward, and did amazing things by working together. John Carney was our lieutenant. It was our deputy chief of staff for the first term, and then he was our secretary of finance for the second term. But he has provided leadership, along with great leadership from our lieutenant governor, and along with a bunch of the legislators that are here and that are not here, Democrats and Republicans, carrying our state through maybe as challenging and difficult a time since maybe the Great Depression. And we've the worst recession since the Great Depression, the worst pandemic since in 100 years. And we're coming out on the right side, and things are getting better. It's just great to be here with everybody today and be able to see so many people we haven't seen for a while. And let's just put our hands together and just a word of celebration for getting us this far by working together. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. There's an African proverb that goes something like this: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And here in Delaware, we go together. We go together. And we're going to continue to do that. And as long as we keep that in our hearts, we'll be just fine. I was coming home last night on the train, Lisa, and I was pulling into, we're getting close to Biden Station, which for some reason they named after him. I know my staff and I raised like millions of dollars to overhaul the train station, make it beautiful, and they named it after Joe Biden? Are you kidding? No, I don't mind. I don't mind. I'm almost over it. But we're pulling into Biden Station, and there's a lady sitting right in like the seat next to me, and I said, "Well, welcome to Delaware." She was wondering what I did. She was interesting phone calls, and I would move away from her when I made some of the phone calls, so I had some privacy. But I said, "Welcome to Delaware, the first state." And she said, "Why is Delaware the first state?" And I said, "We ratified the Constitution before anybody else, and for one whole week, Delaware was the entire United States of America." And I said, "So welcome to the first state." And as it turns out, we're first in a lot of things. We are first in a lot of things. One of the things we're first in is the value on a sort of like a per capita basis on the value of the agricultural products that we create. I think nobody else is even close to where we are in terms of value. We have more five-star beaches than any state in America. Half the Fortune 500 and half the New York Stock Exchange are incorporated here. I mean, if you happen to have a credit card in your pocketbook or your purse, we have like it's a 60% chance that it's literally from a bank in Delaware. So we're first in a lot of things. And one of the things that we're going to be first in is as the governor said, and the other Jason have said, is we're going to be first in access to the internet. And it doesn't matter if you're a farmer on a tractor. Doesn't matter if you're a kid trying to go to elementary school, middle school, high school, college. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a nurse, a patient who needs access and you can't get out of your house, you can't get to a doctor or hospital. You're going to be able to use telemedicine to be able to get. We are going to be first across the way. Sometimes when I travel, Martha and I were out on the West Coast during our recess last week. We spent a lot of time focused on China, the threat from China. But one of the things that in terms of working together, the President announced last night is a partnership with Australia, the UK, and the United States of America with respect to the South China Sea. When I was a naval flight officer in the Vietnam War, my crew we flew a lot of missions in the South China Sea. And the idea that the Chinese are trying to push everybody else out, take over the passages there, the South China Sea, the East China Sea, and Southeast Asia, that doesn't work. And the way we're going to beat them back is through partnership with the UK, with Australia, and the United States and all. And the way we're going to prevail here and strengthen our economy and make sure that the kids have the opportunity to be as successful as they can possibly be is again, that partnership. Going back to the lady on the train, Governor, she said to me, well, why do you call you the first state? And I told her why. But the teamwork. It's the teamwork that makes this place so unique. Lisa and I, Chris and I are privileged to serve with folks from 49 other states. Nobody's partnership, frankly, comes close to what we have here in this state. You know, you hear people talk about the Delaware Way, and thank God it's still alive. Thank God it's still alive. Last thing I'll say is this. Sometimes when people ask me what I do when I'm in other parts of the country, and I tell them I help people. Sometimes I just say I'm a servant, and they say, like, are you a butler? I say, no, I'm a servant. Who do you serve? I serve the people of Delaware. And I help people. And one of the best ways you can help people is make sure they have a job. And the governor's mentioned meeting with the site selectors yesterday. And folks that are looking to locate businesses in Delaware and any other state across the country, they're interested in a lot of things. They're interested in the workforce. They want to make sure that the folks that we're training folks to fill the jobs that need to be filled. They're interested in common sense regulations. They're interested in a reasonable tax burden. They're interested in a good transportation system. And you know what else they're interested in? They're interested in access to the internet. That's what they're interested. They're interested in beaches. They love that. They love great state parks, all that stuff. They want to have access to the internet. And in Delaware, we can give them the full package. We can give them the full package. Governor and Lieutenant Governor Lisa probably know Heather Girk, who still works with us, used to work in the governor's office, but Heather and her sister Amber are the King sisters. The King sisters. They grew up in Dover, and there's three of them in all. They're terrific. They have this family motto, and it goes something like this: dream work makes the team work. Teamwork makes the dream work. Teamwork makes the dream work. And it always has, and it always will. In this case, this will keep us at number one. And number one with a bullet. And that's something we can all be happy and proud of. Chris Coons cannot be with us today. And is anybody here on Chris's team? Anybody in his staff? Yeah. Stand up and take a bow. Chris Coons has been intimately involved in the legislation. Thank you very much. The CARES Act. And now we're working on legislation that's passed the Senate that my committee, Environment and Public Works Committee, provide a lot of the foundation for the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act that includes drinking water, wastewater, water sanitation, roads, highways, bridges, climate, all kinds of stuff. That's really the foundation on which the bill, the broader bill is built. So we're proud to have had a chance to work on all that. Chris has been integrally involved in every bit of it as well. And I think, do I get to introduce Lisa? Lisa Rochester, right now. Let me take a little more time. No, stay right here. Yeah. None of this goes back to my wife. I love this woman. It stays right here. Lisa came to work with us as an intern, and later in my congressional office and constituent services. She helped. She was really the point person in my administration on strengthening families, the Family Services Cabinet Council, and then the Deputy Secretary of Health and Social Services, Secretary of Labor, and then on do all kinds of things. And she still looks about the same age. She hasn't changed at all. And she has usually worn all the hats, carried all the banners. And now we get to watch her in the House of Representatives. We've got 435 people over there. And they don't know much about, some of them don't know much about Delaware. They know a lot about her. And I say to them, her colleagues over there, I say, have you had a chance to get to know Lisa Rochester? And I could ask Republicans or Democrats. And you know what they all say? I mean, like to a purpose. We love Lisa. Isn't that something? We love Lisa. And we love her here in Bridgeville. We love her in Sussex County and all over Delaware. Love working with her. Lisa Blunt Rochester. Woo!
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is It is wonderful, first of all, to be here at the Bridgeville Fire Department, and I think the governor was right. We were all hoping for chicken and dumplings for lunch, so I don't know, maybe we can make that happen, but it is just a pleasure to be here. It's exciting to be here for this announcement, and I want to first acknowledge the leadership of the governor. First of all, for his vision from day one, and secondly, I think this announcement today, being the first announcement, really is symbolic because it represents his care and concern for the entire state, through whether it's a pandemic or just for us to be able to live and play and work. Broadband is necessary. It is necessary. And so I want to first salute the governor and his entire team, Claire, DTI, all of the team that is working to make this a reality. Please let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Governor. I'd love to, also, I got to shout out the Lieutenant Governor, and I know, I guess I get a chance to introduce her when it's her turn. Okay, well, I want to shout out the Lieutenant Governor as well for her leadership, particularly during this pandemic with COVID-19 and all of her work on the opioid crisis in our state and mental health. The members of the General Assembly who are here, you are where the rubber meets the road. You know, the senators and I, we do our part to make sure we bring the resources here, but we know that you hear daily from your constituents. You get to see and feel the pain as well as the joys. And so we want to thank you for your leadership and being here as well, the county executives, all of the partners, the private sector. Because as was said, we could not do this without you as well, and ultimately the people. As I thought about coming here, for some of us, we've rearranged our schedules to be here because this is such an important announcement. And I know John does not miss being in Congress some days, but on Monday, our committee, Energy and Commerce, which these issues run through, healthcare, broadband, these issues come through our committee. We had a committee-wide markup, meaning we are looking at the Build Back Better Act right now. The Senate has done their job with the bipartisan infrastructure package and will continue to work with us. But we had a markup, and we started at 11 in the morning, and we went to about 3 in the morning on Monday. Then we started at 9, I think, or 9:30 on Tuesday, and went till about 1 or 2 in the morning. And then we started again yesterday. But I made sure I got back here because this is such an important announcement. The ability for us to do this really gets to the word connecting. And if there were to be a theme today, it is that we succeed when we recognize that we are all connected. And so it took all of those partners that I talked about to make this a reality. And that we have to connect people to each other. We are connected. And that's what this announcement is about connecting us. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity right now with the American Rescue Plan and the work that we were able to do, but also with the Build Back Better Act. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina, always talks about broadband as being the electricity of our time. This is not just a nice thing to do. This is a must-have. And if we didn't know it before, the pandemic showed us that we must be connected. Schools, healthcare, telehealth. The senator and I did telehealth press conferences. You need to be connected. Farming. I remember being in one of our farmers' kitchens, and she was showing me on her iPad how she looks at the irrigation system of her crops. Banking, jobs, you name it, it's all connected. And we need to make sure that people are connected to it. So, again, sustainable, affordable, reliable, and equitable. Equity. Equity. Making sure that all of us have access. And I know a lot of times we Marlene, we talk about equity, whether it's environmental justice or from a perspective of gender or race, but even geography. Kent County, Sussex County, parts of Newcastle County deserve to have access to real, reliable, affordable broadband. And so this is an issue of equity as well. Again, I'm going to take my seat. I just wanted to say I'm so proud of this moment. And I really believe that this is symbolic of the fact that if we don't recognize that we are connected, it doesn't make sense. If you have a line, but you don't get to the last mile, it's no good. If you have it to the last mile, but a kid doesn't have a laptop, it's no good. All of us, Democrats, Republicans, independent, black, white, whatever you are, wherever you come from, we are connected. To me, broadband is part of that connection. And I'm so proud of the work that we've done. I'm excited. I'm excited. I just woke myself up. That's how excited I am about this announcement. And I just want to say there's more to come. There's more to come as we strengthen our economy, as we recover from this pandemic, and as we restore hope in Delaware and the American people. Thank you, and I turn it back over.
Thank you, Madam Congresswoman. I jumped up to the podium just to be clear about who's next, because we've invited our local legislators to speak, and they're going to do so, but after Kevin Broadhurst, who's representing the private sector here in Comcast, and again, one of the partners that are helping us make all of this happen. Kevin, we're delighted to have you here with us.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. It's really hard to follow the Congresswoman after such an impassioned speech, but really thank you for your service and really such an incredible advocate for the entire state of Delaware. So I'm going to try my best to follow her, but I can't say I'll be quite as dynamic as our Congresswoman. So good morning, everybody. I'm honored here today to represent Comcast to talk about our investment in the state of Delaware and our focus on rural broadband expansion. In particular, the importance of public-private partnerships to address the rural digital divide. Our public-private partnerships for the state of Delaware will lead to more than 300 homes getting access to broadband service with speeds up to 1.2 gigabits. These residents will also have access to the full suite of Xfinity products and services, including the award-winning X1 video platform. Businesses can also get the full suite of Comcast business products and services, including Ethernet network speeds up to 100 gigabits per second. So Senator Carper talked about the Delaware way and the teamwork here, and that is really important to emphasize because I think that's so important. I work in multiple states, and I think Delaware is such a unique place that people really all kind of align on common goals and can tackle issues in a way that other states just can't really do. So the Delaware way, the teamwork you see here in Delaware is something that's very unique and should be celebrated. So thank you for all of the work that goes into these kind of things. So Comcast has invested more than $500 million in capital expenditures, employee wages and benefits, taxes and fees, and charitable giving in Delaware over the last 3 years. We have over 1,000 employees in Delaware, and our advanced broadband network passes hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses across the state. We also have over 10,000 public Wi-Fi hotspots in Delaware that have been open to everyone since the start of the pandemic. Since 2011, we have connected a total of 84,000 Delawareans through our Internet Essentials broadband adoption program for low-income residents. And our offer of 60 days of free service has been extended to June 30th, 2022. In addition, we once again formed another partnership with the state to help connect low-income students who can't afford broadband through your Connect Delaware program. And we are here today in Bridgeville, close to Sunnyside Road, which is the first phase of our CARES projects to complete construction. Just this week, we entered the operational phase for over 100 homes that are now going to be able to get access to broadband service, which previously did not have that. We are on track to activate more than 250 additional homes in the next coming months as a result of the partnership that we've formed with the state. So there's a lot of work that goes into network expansions, especially in more rural areas that have significant infrastructure challenges. And I'd like to thank and recognize Governor Carney, his staff, and the team of the Department of Technology and Information for having the vision to work collaboratively with the private sector to tackle the rural digital divide. And a special thanks to Chris Cohen and his team over at D2I, who has been incredible partners really from day one. So I want to thank you, Chris, and your team. You've been really great to work with. But I'd also like to thank our federal delegation for securing the funds for these projects. It's so important and really is game changer when you think of the work that's going to be able to get done because of the work that you have all done for us in Washington. So those are really the end of my remarks, but I would like to invite everyone to visit our, we brought essentially a show and tell. We brought some construction equipment, network infrastructure, and our technology. So after this event, you're all welcome to come out and meet some of our employees who are working every day to connect Delawareans. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for the partnership that we have with you and all the other internet providers as well. There's no more important partnership than that one that we have and that I personally have with the members of the General Assembly. We are in Senator Pettyjohn and Representative Vander Wen's district, so I'm going to ask both of them if they would come forward and offer a few remarks. And we appreciate, again, their support over the course of our initiative to bring broadband access to our rural areas in our state, an expected partnership as we move forward with ARPA projects and funding, the incredible partnership with respect to the largest capital budget that we've had in the history of our state passed this year, and all of those efforts will be geared towards spending this dollar in a way that's efficient and effective and makes Delaware more competitive and enables all of our children, all of our families, all of our the whole farm community to be successful. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Governor Carney, our congressional delegation, Jason, and I actually want to put the spotlight on Chris Cohen for just a second. You know, his name's been mentioned here a couple times today, but I've got to say, during the past year, I've been talking to Chris a whole lot. Chris has really been leading the charge over at DTI with connecting our constituents, all of our constituents, with the providers that were needed in order to get services to families for school, to businesses to be able to run their business during the pandemic. And Chris has just done a fantastic job and has been a huge asset for all of us in the General Assembly. So thank you, Chris, so much for your efforts. Must be something with that last name. You get rock stars with that last name. I'm not sure what it is. But thank you all for being here today. Broadband has kind of been a crusade of mine ever since, even before I was in the General Assembly. I remember there was a newspaper article that my parents were interviewed for back, I think it was 2009, before I was in the General Assembly. They ran a school bus business in Georgetown. They had payroll, but they used dial-up. And they were, about 150 yards away from the last Comcast address. I think Comcast wanted to charge $15,000 for them to get hooked up. And it's economics. It's economics. And without, they ended up, paying the money to do it. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's not just a matter of, well, let's just run a wire out there. There's a lot that goes into providing good, quality, reliable internet services, especially to our rural areas. High-density areas, it's pretty simple. A mile you can get a lot of customers. Here in Sussex County, a mile you might get 2 people. And the numbers just don't balance out a lot of times without help from the government. And we saw that during the rural electrification process back in the 30s. We saw that with the expansion of telephone service in our rural communities. Now we're seeing that with this next utility, the utility of the 21st century, and that's broadband. Broadband is absolutely key to our education system. It's key to our businesses. It's key to our health care. It's key to so many areas of our daily lives right now that the proper investment from the government side, whether it be state, local, federal partners, is vital for bringing this service to everybody. And I like that we're using the term investing because it is an investment. It is going to generate a return. It's going to generate a return in our schools. We saw that with the pandemic. With the access to information, our children are able to get knowledge. With addition of knowledge and experience, they're able to gain wisdom, and they're able to become more productive people within our society. On the healthcare side, telehealth has exploded in the last year, and it's great to be able to connect our rural communities with great quality healthcare that might be in the cities a couple states away. They can see specialists, they can be interacting with specialists that they would never be able to have access with before with this telehealth systems. And then businesses. We have local businesses that can enter the global marketplace now because they're able to connect to the internet. The internet is the great equalizer, and making this investment for Delawareans is definitely going to pay dividends in the long term, and it's going to help the quality of lives of so many people. So I want to thank the federal delegation for their advocacy for it. This is something that is great for a lot of us, great for our rural communities, and great for our disadvantaged communities as well. So thank you for your support on that. Thank you, Governor Carney, for your support. We had a conversation before you even took office about broadband and the problems that we had here in Sussex. And it's good to know that those concerns of our rural communities have been heard, and we're taking action on them. So thank you all very much, and this is a great day for Sussex. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to Bridgeville. This is the biggest part of my district here in the 35th District. I'd like to welcome and thank the congressional delegation, Lieutenant Governor and Governor for coming down, and all my colleagues that I serve with in the General Assembly. If you look on the map to my right, two area codes, zip codes, 19950 and 19933 is where I serve. And if you get close enough to the chart, you can see where that's probably the highest percentage of the underserved when it comes to bandwidth. It's such an important issue for not only our kids, which is hugely important, but as a business person on the agriculture side of things, I can pull out my cell phone and I can check on my poultry houses, I can monitor where the harvesters are in the field as we speak, and I can also look at irrigation systems. And to make all that technology come together and be profitable for us as a family, as a business, and as an industry, we need this last piece to make this happen. So I think this is definitely a wise investment. I think the governor hit the nail on the head when he made the comment, something about taking Delaware to the next level when it comes to economic drivers, and I think that is so important. And we're very thankful for the opportunity, and I'd like to thank everyone here for their support and it's making all this happen. I would like to tell Chris, he does a great job. When we have constituents that reach out and they say that they're having trouble, and he's our go-to guy, and he certainly takes a lot of emails from me, and I certainly appreciate him trying to work through that for us. So thank you all very much.
Wow. Great to bookend when our Governor Carney has been acknowledged. I have to again give a shout out to our governor for leadership during this incredible time, being boots on the ground in the field. Thank you, sir, for helping to keep us safe so that we could be here today. And for the press, we'll be doing questions at the end after we've closed out. We'll take those separately. Correct, Governor? Okay. I just wanted to say it's great to be home. As our Sussex County delegation knows, the Sussex soil is here in my shoes and my feet forever, and with family. And I do want to recognize and start to say to Jason and to Chris, I'm not going to call out on all the government affairs folks who are here representing the incredible internet media, Broadband, Atlantic. I get in trouble with Verizon if I leave anyone off the list. But hopefully after these funds roll out, you're not going to hear from us quite as much. I think some of them probably cringe. They know when we're calling and texting. We've had a lot of concerns for our children. And thanks to the incredible leadership of our congressional delegation, our Senator Carper, Senator Coons, Marcus, who's here for Senator Coons today, and our Congresswoman, thanks for these funds. These are once-in-a-generational opportunity that we have. And as we listen today, I have to say to Colleen Davis, who's worked hard with our local governments, I heard like 4 E's today. I heard the economics, the impact on investment. As our treasurer, she has worked hard with our local municipalities. And I have to give a shout out to my colleague Bethany, town manager, and Dr. Marlene Saunders, our commissioner in Bridgeville, and Mr. John, who's here, as well as Pat Creel. She's always going to be on the heart of Bridgeville. They've worked closely with you and our Congresswoman, I understand, on some of the Treasury funds and notes. So I wanted to make sure to give you that shout out. And as Claire DeMattias knows, when you have this opportunity, which we have today with the ARC funds, thanks to our president and the leadership, not only are we looking at the economics, but we're looking at developing that whole infrastructure with education, and as touched on by our Congresswoman, the equity and the equality that is so important and so necessary. So today, as I'm here with my colleagues from the General Assembly, where I get to preside in the Senate, we're excited, and I'm excited for our governor and our team as we go out and check out Kevin's equipment with Comcast in a moment, that we're going to actually see these opportunities. I know my nephew has to get, because he's on a Sussex farm, all of his lesson plans before we were open in school had to have everything delivered at home. He had no internet. I know with Dr. Marlene Saunders, we've worked hard on the telehealth. We actually had to change the law, thanks to legislators, to include just phone service, because we didn't have the ability. This is life-changing. This is life-changing today, and so I'm excited to be here. I'm pleased that we're going to be having future announcements, Governor, to come, not only of the broadband infrastructure, but the work that you are doing with our congressional delegation, to look forward to other infrastructure, whether it be clean water, as you mentioned in the beginning, electric vehicles, all the things that we know are going to make a real difference for our state. So I just thank you all for being here. I'm thrilled to be back home, and I really look forward to going out and checking the equipment. And Governor, I think the next time we'll time it at noon. We'll time it at what is known in Sussex County as dinner time, and we'll have some dumplings at dinner time. So thank you so much. I'll turn this back to our governor now. Thank you.
Again, thanks to our congressional delegation, thanks to the other elected officials, thanks to our partners in the General Assembly. This is really the first announcement of many. We will continue, and Claire will continue to reach out to leaders in communities, to elected officials. Obviously, one of the other priorities in the legislation, one that's specifically identified as eligible for funding, is water and wastewater, a huge priority for all of us, particularly here in the lower part of our state, and we look forward to talking more about all of those things. So to our partners in the General Assembly, thanks for coming. To our friends here at the Bridgeville Fire Hall, I don't know if you got any chicken dumplings back there, but my mouth is still watering. Have a great day.